welcome to day 19, everyone. This is our day just 2 days outside of the full moon, which you can still feel its effect, and you'll always feel its effect 3 days before, 3 days afterwards. Welcome this morning, or whenever you listen to the call to this ParadigmShift48. And I am your host, La Tonia Taylor, affectionately known as the RevCoach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, and Passion. And it took me a long time to be clear about that because I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. My gifts manifest in various ways. I've been good at a lot of things over the years, and today we are focusing on prayers for creatives. I hope that you will be able to relate to a few things that I want to share with you of value this morning. I want to talk to you into the possibility, because many of us have gone to school and just followed the program and ended up in careers that was going to be the highest bet, pay us the highest money, but not necessarily, especially if you are 55 and under, I should say 45 or 40 and over, meaning into infinite, because the millennials, a lot of the core millennials have already turned 30. And so if we look about 10, 15 years advancing the millennials, a lot of us did not necessarily end up finishing a degree in what it is that we were called to do. So our brain has been conditioned with a few things. One is conformity. Second is we've been conditioned to be linear thinkers when some of us were born to be circular. Some of us were born to be tactile. This conversation is dedicated to the creatives. Oftentimes they're creatives who were made to go into the safe bet because our parents may not have thought that you can make any money doing that, and you may not have thought that you could make any money doing that. And now we see another generation using social media and other ways to absolutely be creative. We know that there are corporations like Google, Apple, who as corporations started to embrace a different type of culture, whereas they did surveys and they found that the greatest level of dissatisfaction for workers was that they were there for 12 hours more time than they were home with their families. So in a way to show in appreciation to incorporate, because they had the money to do it, and to hold on to good staff, they began to incorporate into their environment certain things that made life easier outside of work. They put cleaners in, they put in places for people to go take naps. They have playrooms, not just for children, but for adults. And so cultures now are also embracing more than a linear model. So today, I come from the gospel of Kanye West. Yes, I said it, Kanye West. He's not only is he Team Gemini, he's also a creative. He's probably the most vocal, verbal, and unapologetic creative there is on the planet. There probably are others over time. As we look at some of the things, like we saw Billy Porter. A lot of times creativity has been embraced more in the LGBTQ community than it has been sometimes in their own community. But melanated people are extremely creative when it comes to music and the arts. And so there are also some of us who are in linear careers, and it's sapping the life out of us, as well as there's a distrust factor. And this is why, there are a lot of clients do come to me for vision mastery so that you can write the vision to make it plain on one hand, but literally to confront those parts of yourself that keep you from actually moving in the direction of what it is that you really want. And let me just say carefully, what you sometimes want to do is also informed by what you see other people doing, and that's not what a creative is. The creatives are the artists, the musicians. These are people who can see something before it's ever done, because that's how their mind works. The mind works in colors, and they can hear beats of music before it's ever composed. Creatives are also many times people who are heart-serving people, such as health practitioners. Sometimes, and I don't mean health in terms of the medical community that has signed off. I'm talking about alternative health, such as yoga, such as reflexology, practitioners of what has been the main practices of medicine before we started to rely on allopathic medicine, the medicine man in our tribes and in our villages. Creatives are also sometimes the spiritual ones. I know for me, as a coach, as a spiritualist, as an oracle, there are parts of my work that absolutely lean more on the creative than it does the linear. In fact, the older that I get, the more the linear really shuts me down. I like to the openness of my life, and sometimes creatives value less money about the money and securing the bag. They value actually connecting with people in the work. And creatives, and I want you to think and call out creatives in the group if you want to post and share around some beautiful things that, because, you participating in this way also allows our eyes to see and to expand. Writers are creatives. Those of you who are natural writers, spoken word artists, rappers, musicians, just overall creatives. I remember I was talking to another business buddy, and I was like, girl, what does your day look like? How do you structure your day, because you know what you have to do? She said, girl, I just know what I have to do. I wake up and I do it based off of creativity. She said, I'm a creative. She's like, I can't have no linear schedules. And she said, sometimes I have to do it in order to meet my goal, but it's not what I like to do. So that being said, here are some quotes from Kanye that I absolutely love. He says, you have to protect your ability to create at all costs. This one is pretty clear, because he says, if your ideas are your livelihood, then you don't give them away for free. This is why a lot of hardcore business people, even my coaches, are frowning at me for doing this challenge. But let me give you, ministry is also a creative for doing this challenge for free. Let me tell you and be completely transparent with you. First of all, when I got ordained, there were two parts, two zones on my physical body that was ordained. One of them is my throat chakra, and the other is my mouth. And the other thing that came with that was I was told that I'm always to be teaching, and that when I start to worry about the details and stuff, that one of the things I needed to do was to serve. There are other factors in my natal chart, past lives and such, that also affect my abundance. People, we need to know. We need to tap into other creatives. This is why I do natal charts and readings and such, because when we tap into systems that really help us to understand ourselves, we are better to the world. And so I know what I'm doing. And sometimes it doesn't always look like what the rest of the other folks are doing. Has it cost me? Absolutely, because I have come in leading with my heart, giving away. I have thousands of hours of material and that I didn't know how to package back in the day. I wasn't thinking about how to package it. I wasn't thinking about all of those things. And trust me, when I get into the room with people who've gone to school, taking courses online, and their coaching training was really just a sales and marketing course that had a little personal development in it, I'm still shocked because I was taught by a creative. I was taught by master coaches and master trainers who gave me a gumbo of training in all of the arts, and then I have a degree in psychology. So yeah, I sometimes I get a little pissy when I see there's some people who've taken this art form and bastardized it. And you may have seen the same thing. Art programs are not funded in schools for our children, yet they say our children are imbalanced and unhealthy. Right now, they're worried about children's psychological development because they never get off of the computer or they're so attached to it. We were at the table late last night after going to the Sweat Lodge. It's amazing that I'm awake, but that was my full moon ritual with my tribe of sisters. And late last night we were talking about how children don't know how to be still anymore. Like they don't know how to have a summer. Remember when we had lazy summers and you slept till 12 and you got up or you stayed up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was exciting for you. But now every child, a lot of children have schedules, and parents are always running. There's not even creativity in parenting in many ways. Okay, let me get back to Kanye. He says, try to avoid any contractual situation where you're held back from your ideas. He talks about ways that people wanted to buy and purchase his ideas, but then create a contract for him where he couldn't do anything else. He says that distraction is the enemy of vision, and that's pretty clear and simple to see, because if you are a creative, sometimes you can be easily distracted. You can even have a touch of ADD. You know, you just don't know how to sit down and be still, because depending on how your gift shows up, it may need to have an outlet that looks a little different. He says, get rid of everything that is a distraction. And literally, there are people who have given up their attachment to bill pay. I was just talking to a 28-year-old last night at the table, and I when she told me how she was, I was like, whoa, what it means to be 28 years old. And all of us at the table are thinking, what would we tell a 28-year-old to do? And and everybody resonated with the freedom of exploration without rushing to pay bills. But listen, some of you may have been 28 years old, but you got pregnant, or you got into survival mode. And so you really don't know yourself and your gifts because you had to do certain things because of a situation. Some of you are 28, maybe you had to take care of a parent. Some of you, where were you when you were in your 20s? Were you in the mode freely self-discovering? Were you rushing to be grown, to get bills, to get married? I know I did. I got married at 19 years old. I would do things totally different than that. Kanye says everything you do in life stems from either fear or love. Fear often causes people to be manipulative. Be transparent as possible. Stop setting plays. Stop playing chess with life. Make decisions based on love, not fear. This is Kanye, y'all. And this is Kanye after the breakdown. This is a speech that he gave to Oxford. He says the trend is always late. I guarantee you that this could preach. If you're jumping on trends right now, sexuality and sensuality has become a trend. When I first started teaching around sensuality and sexuality teachings, it was not popular, particularly amongst black women. It had always been popular in other cultures, but black women still kind of frowned at it or kept it deeply secret. Now the secret is out. But when a lot of times when the secret gets out, people then try to commercialize the secret. And so people are jumping. Is it still needed? Absolutely. The way sometimes we're going about doing it, there are certain things when we talk about creativity and ancient arts, like feminine arts and other occult studies, that you do in private. You do not blast and put them on Facebook. That ought to be a red flag for people's bandwagons that you're jumping on. Rituals and certain things are not meant to be done and advertised. And there's a whole reason for that type of thing. But the trend is always late. By the time, and I've never been one to jump on the trend of fashion. Come on, please, really? I'm a classic woman. I love that song, when I'm a classic man. But see, they need one for women, because we are the masters when it comes to fashion, of knowing how to mix pieces that won't date. There are certain pieces, sisters, this is also creative stuff, that I remember being able to have an elder say, honey, you get you some classic pieces. These are purses and shoes and things you don't have to turn over because it's just a trend. It will be with you for years. This is why art is the same way. When you first wake up, he said, don't hop right on the phone, on the internet, or even speak to anyone. Didn't you hear me talk about that when it came to prayer? Well, don't just jump into prayer based off of your need, based off of begging, based off of that, but to give yourself a moment of silence. He says, try not to even speak to anyone for up to an hour if possible. Sometimes that's not possible. You got to remember, you're talking to a man, talking from a man who is a multimillionaire who owns about 300 acres of land, so he can roam anywhere he wants to for an hour. That might not be possible, but guess what you can do? You can roam in your mind. Just be still and enjoy your own imagination. Guess what? He just said it. It's better than any movie. He says, you have the best ideas. Other people's opinions are usually more distractive than informative. Follow your own vision. Base your actions on love. Do things you love. And if you don't absolutely love something, stop doing it as soon as you can. I know there are certain people who try to duplicate and replicate what they see other people doing. Some people will go on your website and try to steal your whole message if you let them. That's how it is out here in these streets. But that there is no abundance in stealing from other creatives, I guarantee you, or trying to just duplicate. Yes, they say imitation is the highest form of flattery, and certainly in the artistic community, you're going to reflect some of your influences. I know that one thing, people sometimes will say, if they really follow Yama, that you sound just like your spiritual mother, or I can hear your spiritual mother coming out of you. Well, I don't mind you hearing my spiritual mother coming out of me, but I'm not trying to be like her. And sometimes I've taken the long way around to ensure that I am in direct communication and not just trying to replicate and be in somebody else's gift. See, because I don't have their pain body. I don't have their pain story. I might have some elements of it. But see, sometimes there's no victory, there's no cross, and there's no crown because you aren't the one that had to carry the cross of your particular anointing. See, sometimes your anointing comes with a cross that only you can carry, and that's your initiation, is that you have to be the one. That's right. If you're trying to get off your job and step into your purpose, don't try to step into somebody else's purpose. Just because you see somebody else doing coaching and you see somebody else out here selling chicken wings, and you see somebody else out here making a killing because they want to make a hairstylist, and now they have products. See, what happened to the time that they had to build their audience, the time that they had to do things when they didn't get paid? See, because when you love what you do, there will be moments like that. There will be moments where you have to let people sample your food, honey. It's just like the idea of when you have a product. Sometimes you got to let people sample you. And that's how come one of the things I love about Beyonce and Destiny's Child is one of the things I love when they first came out. Go check out some of their old videos. Whenever they got on somebody's couch for an interview or somebody put the microphone in their face, first thing they do, answer the questions, but they would always sing and harmonize. It was almost as you couldn't stop them from singing. See, when it's your thing, when it's your gift, people just can't stop you from doing it. Oh, my goodness, this is another morning where I said I'm only going to just be about 15, 20 minutes and look at Kanye, what he's doing in here. He says, don't follow the crowds. Follow the innate feelings inside of you. Do what you feel, not what you think. Thoughts have been placed in our head to make everyone assimilate. Oh, God. We could talk about that from our government to our food. You know, it's trendy to be vegan. Don't be vegan just because it's a trend, because people have put into your mind a fear-based consciousness. What's your blood type? What's your ancestry? Because if you got Irish ancestry, you can eat oatmeal, and somebody with African can't. Huh, come on now. That's a joke. I wanted to make you giggle a little bit this morning. Thoughts have been placed in your head to assimilate. Follow what you feel. But see, the thing is, we don't trust what we feel. And so a part of the paradigm shift is that we have to learn how to trust some of the things that we feel, but then we have to do the inner work to clean up feelings, because feelings will lie if you don't know how to program your feelings. And every wind that blows will have you depressed. Every wind that blows will have you saying you can't afford it. Every wind that blows, you will be saying, I don't have it in the budget. Every wind that blows, you will be saying, looking at your paycheck instead of looking at your gifts, looking at the ways that you can create. That is abundance. How can I create the money, the investment, the thing that I want to do, I need to do? Whew. Let me take a breath. I don't believe, he says, in the concept of an enemy. That boy's been studying, that man, We have been conditioned to always be in competition. Stop looking for something to beat and just be. You don't have to do all the work. Once you start moving in love, the universe will assist you. Come on now, Kanye. You heard what Kanye said? Once you start moving, huh? Some of y'all abandon your poetry. You don't think that your gift can make room for you. Some of you all abandon your paintings. Some of you all have abandoned coloring and sewing and cutting out patterns. Some of you have abandoned mixing herbs because, you're comparing yourself to somebody else who did it before you. But you have your own fingerprint in this game. He says, you will not be a drop of water in the ocean as your army. If you move out of fear, then you're on your own. Then it's just you and the money and the countless people you have to lie to and manipulate to build a man-made path that will never lead to true happiness. Just stop lying. Stop lying about ish, he says. Just stop lying. In life, we are all trained actors. We are born, when we're born, we're ourselves, and then some of the first things we're taught is how to act. You know it. We got in trouble for not acting what? Right. Okay. If you see a kid screaming in a restaurant because he feels something and can't express himself in a conventional manner, everyone will say he needs to learn how to act. At home, parental acting classes are one of the first steps to losing who we really are to the simulation. Come on now, anybody know what the simulation is? Posted in the group. He's getting deep in here, but I'm talking to creatives. Creatives like to go deep. Creatives need to go deep. They can't deal with the surface level. He says our parents are our first acting coaches. You better say out your amen if you've been trying to teach your children how to act versus teaching them how to live and how to live authentically. Oh, and by the way, he said this is his book that he will be writing. Oh, my goodness. So, anywho, I'm going to stop right here so that we can go right into our affirmation. I had something else for you because I'm a true teacher at heart. I'm always bringing resources, and I wanted to bring some more resources to you in terms of just really cultivating your everyday genius. But, I'm running out of time. And so I just want to do another specialized prayer, which is a combination of an affirmation and a prayer today, because sometimes, the affirmation is just that I am willing, and whatever you are willing to do, that you begin to affirm your willingness to do it, your willingness to step out there, your willingness And so we can just remember a few of the other affirmations in just the capsule. Life becomes to me what I am to it. Creative, that's important to affirm. Today, my every thought and act is my givenness to the world of my highest concept of what I believe God is. See, God is in your creativity. And the lawful creative activity of God returns to me in tangible form of good that I have affirmed as mine. Tangible form sometimes may be recognition of your art, it's payment for your art, appreciation for your art, awards for your art. Nevertheless, we are calling forth an energy of covering, of support, of affirmation for creatives who have not been affirmed, who have been afraid. We bring creatives into this space knowing that the universe needs them, about to balance us linear thinkers who've learned how to be linear thinkers, because the truth is we're more healthy when we learn how to operate on both sides of the brain. And in mystery schools, one of the master level things is you couldn't just be about talking and posting online, honey. You had to go through a series of exercises that reshape your brain. This is why I do the work that I do with women. This is why I invite women to something that they don't even know what it is, of rites of passage, because every level of self-mastery, every level of tapping into abundance and prosperity requires another level of initiation. When you make your first million, that's an initiation. You no longer know lack in the way that your mind used to think before you made six figures. Actually, it's your first six figures. And after your first six figures, it's another initiation. And after that, it's another one. And then when you make your first, it's another initiation. And so there are levels to this, according to another artist, Meek Mills. So let's go to the level where the one mind, the one power exists is in our prayer. Take a few breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. There is a universal power of divine mind, presence, and energy seeking an outlet through me and in this world. Today I surrender to the power, order, and presence of the divine mind and divine order. I surrender the deepest roots and causes of every thought, belief, learning, program, mental and emotional construct, ancestral, generational, and historical pattern of thinking, and a way of being that blocks, obstructs, hinders, delays, or denies love, peace, joy, happiness, equality, acceptance, tolerance, compassion, and justice in every area of my life and the world. Today, my source, my creator, the divine mind of God, I surrender my participation in, the attachment to, and the desire for all things that are not of the divine mind. I will to thy will. Please show me how to let thy will be done. I surrender the deepest roots and causes of fear, anxiety, all forms of worry, avoidance, denial, guilt, anger, frustration, impatience, intolerance, stubbornness, arrogance, helplessness, hopelessness, conflict, confusion, and everything else that blocks, obstructs, hinders, delays, or denies divine order and divine purpose in my mind, my heart, my life, and in the world. Today, my source, my creator, the divine mind of God, I surrender my participation in and attachment to and a desire for all things that are not of the divine mind that I am connected to, that offers a unique blueprint for me to demonstrate my ideas, my expression, and the expression that belongs to the creative intelligence of the universe. I surrender all ideas and concepts that it is mine in a way that I must possess it through the ego. But I embrace all parts of me that must possess it and let it possess me in the form of the divine mind. I will to thy will, show me how. I surrender control, fear of control, lack of control, the need to control, and all issues related to control at their deepest root cause in my mind, heart, life, and in the world. I declare that they be just exposed and eliminated under grace. I surrender the attachment to all outcomes that I imagine, demand, fear, require, and attempt to control. I surrender covering up my need to control. I surrender pretending like I can't afford to be supported, that I don't have time to invest in myself. I surrender all conversations that keep me from being supported by the supporters who are also creatives. I now do better in investing in my creative talents, gifts, and abilities so that when I offer them to the world, that others will be willing to invest in me as freely and willingly. I surrender all reluctance, hesitation, lack consciousness, and poverty mindset that shows up in the form of spending and sharing money and paying other creatives and creative intelligence, showing up in the form of those who can support me. Today, my source, my creator, the divine mind of God, I surrender my participation in and attachment to and desire for all things that are not of the holy I am. I will to thy will. Please show me how. I ask that my mind and every mind, in my heart and every heart, my life and every life be subjected to and brought to perfect and harmonious alignment with the divine order of truth, love, peace, and harmony. I surrender by offering anything and everything in my consciousness and subconscious mind that is not in perfect harmonious alignment with the divine mind, divine will, and divine purpose. I declare that I am now in perfect and harmonious alignment with the divine power of the divine mind, the creative intelligence of the universe, that I am one with this creator energy in me as the holy I am and in the establishment of divine order. I surrender my gifts to the universe, knowing that they will make room for me, that I don't have to force my way through, push my way through, or worry about who ignores me. I thank you, Holy Spirit, that once I decide to start moving in the direction of my creativity, once I choose to celebrate my creativity and others' creativity without withhold, that I know that it will return to me, pressed down, shaken up, and running over. I surrender focused thinking that will keep me in the realm of imagination and not demonstration. I pray for all creatives this morning that they will become not just hearers of the word inside of them, but they will become doers of the word inside of them, out on the outside. And we thank you for this creative intelligence that operates in the divine masculine and in the divine feminine. Let it show up in our relationships and how we love. Help us to be co-creators in love rather than cellmates and wardens and managers of other people's souls, minds, and spirits. We thank you for this reminder this morning, for the holy I am that speaks through the voice of others, who is able to articulate truths long before the masses are often able to receive it, but help us to go forth and prosper anyway. We let this be so, and so it is. Ashe. So, just take a breath, everyone. And we give thanks. If you know a creator that may have needed to hear a prayer or a word like this, please invite them. Use the link, if you can, to invite them that was sent to you. Forward the email or go to LaToniaTaylor.com. That would be the best place, actually. Go to LaToniaTaylor.com. Invite them here so that they can hear it. We are still working on this situation with this replay, with the uploads. Someone else was managing that for me, and I literally just learned of this issue. And so I'm working with the company to actually get it up on YouTube. But you can find these replays on Blog Talk Radio if you'd like to just go directly to ReBirth by La Tonia Taylor as well. They won't always be available once they're transferred over, but you can still grab our sessions, and only our tribe mostly will be going there. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Send some prayers for your girl. It's going to be a long day, and I've put out a lot of energy in that sweat lodge. And I know that it will not return to me, but it will accomplish that which I have sent it there to do. And this morning is just amplifying all the prayers and songs that we did together in that space. All right. Have a wonderful day.